talking about gambling addiction and the solutions to it. Now, as we all know, as right now at the moment, there's a 30-day ban on advertising on matters gambling. There's a ban that has been put, so you won't see any advertisement of gambling and whatnot. So we want to just try and get into finding solutions for gambling as an addiction. And with me is one Dr. Alfred Gitonga, who's a consultant psychiatrist and is also the founder of Akili Health Alliance. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. And I want us to start right from where we should. And that is the statistics on the participation of gambling in this country. Do we have those statistics?
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, indeed, we do have those statistics, and I would like to start by looking circumferentially at Africa as a continent, and then zero in on Kenyan participation. Right. As the youth in Africa, 54% of the youth in Africa are actively involved in gambling in one form or another, with 76% participation of Kenyan youth in particular, not even the African youth in general. Kenyan youth are gambling at higher rates than other African countries. Our neighbors, the other countries that have numbers that mirror Kenya are Ethiopia, South Africa, and Nigeria. And a Geopol study done in 2021, which is the most reliable study we have, because we've not been able to do a national gambling survey in our country, unearthed that 84% of our youth gamble, and a third of them do that on a daily basis. So males are most commonly impacted, with the men between the ages of 25 to 34 most actively participating in the habit. And this has led to a skew in the effect it has on the population, with men being affected more severely. And when we talk about the prevalence of participation, I would like to state that the Kenyan market is very attractive. And as we have seen from the KRA, the taxes paid by gambling companies in the year ending March 2024 was 799. Kenyans spent 766 billion shillings on gambling. Yeah.
Can you look at the reasons why it's so attractive? Because from the numbers that you've just mentioned, even putting Kenya at the very, top position in the entire Africa when it comes to gambling, and 87% of Kenyan youth being, participating in gambling, just why is it so attractive?
Okay, Kenyan youth are very tech savvy, and they are very they adopted technology very effectively. We are early adopters of technology, but what has led to this increase mostly is we have a high unemployment rate. We have a youth unemployment rate in the rate of 35 to 40%. And from these numbers, many are underemployed. So we are looking at an underemployment percentage of 13%. So youth unemployment, then we have a rise in smartphone use, and we have celebrities who have endorsed these products online, has led to the allure that youth think they can make a killing out of participating in gambling.
But one would argue that, just as you've mentioned, with the rate of unemployment in the country, then this seems to be the best way to try and, kutoka kwa block, as the youth would put it. So where exactly does it become a problem? Because if it's something they can do to get to make their daily living, then why not? Where exactly does the problem come in? When exactly can one say that, okay, now this is a problem for me, it's actually an addiction?
Okay, I'll approach that question this way, in that the background of gambling addiction begins when the pool has become now as a source of supplementary income. People are not using it for pleasure and relaxation. It's actually called recreational risk-taking. They have come into gambling with a motive of making money, and that is why now the country has taken a wrong toll, because they are participating for reasons not noble. Yes.
Yeah. When exactly do you know that I have a gambling problem? When does it become a disorder? When does it become, okay, it's an addiction?
Okay. By the way medicine works is that we have signs and symptoms that are elicited to address a disease condition. And in this very case, Gambling addiction falls under the foray of behavioral addictions, as the classifications have been done. There are two types of addiction.
Okay.
There are behavioral addictions and substance addictions. Gambling is a behavioral addiction. So Dr. Mark Griffith, who is the godfather of behavioral addiction studies, has put up six factors that can tell somebody is getting addicted. Number one is tolerance. You need to use more and more money in order to feel the same effect. Tolerance is where you need to use more of us. If it is a substance addiction, you need more of the substance to evoke the same effect it used to before. Then there is withdrawal, where you have irritability and anxiety when you have stopped participating in the process. Then we have, salience. Salience is where that activity becomes the most important thing in your life. There's nothing else you do. That is all you are preoccupied with, and that's what you are chasing. Then we have conflicts that emerge when people try to tell you that you are participating in the activity more than usual. And with those classification terminologies, clinicians have formed screening tools that we use on our patients that are used to show that somebody has exceeded the criteria or has met the criteria for diagnosis.
Yeah, and do we have numbers on the prevalence of the gambling disorder? Can we call it a disorder?
Yes, it's a disorder.
Okay, do we have the numbers on that?
Yes, we do. International best practice has shown us that in any population where gambling is introduced, 2.3% of that population will develop gambling disorder. So using the Kenyan population average of those above 18 years, we could place it at around 50 million, according to the Kenyan National Bureau of Statistics. Then we are looking at above 1.2 million people actively ill and who need intervention.
Yeah.
And the only study that has been done clinically, using clinical correlates, was by Professor Ndetai last year, and the numbers that were recovered were that 11% of the college and university students that he did the study on had gambling disorder and had another diagnosable mental illness alongside it.
Yeah.
So gambling does not come alone. It comes with friends. So gambling will come with the tobacco use, mood disorders, anxiety, and alcohol use disorder as well. So it has comorbid conditions that have to be assessed alongside it. And that's why it is such a critical issue to address right now, because our people are suffering.
Yeah. Is there something like responsible gambling, and how would that look like? Because I don't know if we are able to do away with it completely, right? So how does responsible gambling look like?
Okay. Responsible gambling means that in the classification of gambling disorder, there are some people who are called recreational risk takers, those who do not experience any negative effects. There are those who are at risk. Then we have the problem gambler and a pathological gambler. Those are the four classifications. We would like everybody to be on the region of recreational risk taking, where you can participate in the habit, but it does not cause you any negative side effects. And the negative side effects are addiction, there's financial mismanagement, there's marital issues, there's the relationship problems, and then you have the gambling disorder itself and the physical health conditions. Many develop peptic ulcer disease, many develop hypertension. Most are in substance use disorders such as alcohol and tobacco. And those are the things that we would like to avoid. So the recreational risk taker doesn't develop those comorbidities, but the general public are developing those at a very high level, and it's leading to depression and consequently suicide.
Yeah, and now, as you mentioned, it's an industry that is very lucrative, and it also brings in a lot of money for the country, you know. So it's an industry that has also gotten to employ so many people. So it's not bad, right? Just as you've mentioned, there is a way that you can work with it and have responsible gambling. So how exactly can the industry itself participate in all of this, in just ensuring that we're not having people with this as a disorder now? What role do they have to play in all of this?
Thank you very
even
much.
As they remain afloat as well?
Thank you for that question. So even as the industry remains afloat, we have to follow international best practice, because there are people who have been there before us. They have experienced the same conditions, and they have found solutions to solve it. So using the UK as our benchmarking profile, the UK has a gambling commission, and the gambling commission is the one that regulates gambling, just like we have BCLB. But what they have gone and done, because their gambling commission was formed in 1997, they have had enough time to explore the complications of gambling and to neuter them. So what they have done is that they require operators to put in funds into a kitty. Those funds range from 0.1% to 1.1% of the gross gaming revenue. Then those funds are then used to counter the negative effects of gambling and also to conduct public education. Some is given to the National Health Service for treatment of those with gambling disorder, and the rest is used for research and activities that further the cause for safe gaming. They also have a self-exclusion, very robust self-exclusion system, where if people self-report that they're having financial difficulties or difficulties limiting their time, then they have to limit their participation by using the commission to have them excluded because they cannot control themselves anymore. So what will be needed in this industry will be adopting a similar model to the United Kingdom, where we have bodies such as NACADA, now specifically for gambling, that is legislation is passed that supports them financially, and then they are the ones who now distribute these funds to the different epithets I've talked about, where we have prevention activities, treatment activities, and research activities for the people. Yes.
I want to now, I want us to focus on the people that are already now addicts to gambling. You know, there are gamblers that are addicted to it. What maybe are some of the biggest barriers to their recovery, and where exactly do they begin, you know, if they want to look for help?
So I would talk about private providers and government providers. So I serve the government of the Republic of Kenya at the Malaria National Teaching and Referral Hospital. We have revamped the hospital such that we have the capacity now to handle any people coming in with the gambling disorder for treatment. There is a hotline that the Kenya Red Cross has that is 1199 that is receiving calls from people with distress. And my organization, Akili Health Alliance, has its own interventions at a private nature that are helping people with gambling addiction through a responsible gambling website. So as at now, those are the only portals that are open. Either you visit a private provider, you go to the government hospital, and there are NGOs like us, ourselves, who are offering assistance pro bono from our own resources, because we know one day that acts of service get rewarded. So we have approached the industry, but we have not gotten very good feedback for the last 4 years. But I believe that with the winds of change that are blowing, soon our efforts will bear fruit. So you mentioned about, you know, some of the effects of gambling, and you say that it's not just about the behavioral bit of it. It actually comes with some mental disorders. Correct.
So are there some that you've actually gotten to work with or tackle, maybe let me use the word, whereby you know this person has developed this disorder, mental disorder, specifically from their habit of gambling? If you can talk on that. I concur that that is the case. So my foray into this topic began when I was doing my master's at the University of Nairobi, Malaria National Teaching Hospital. And at the outpatient department, I encountered so many cases of people who came reporting psychotic symptoms or depressive symptoms. But on further background checks, we found out that they had a gambling habit which had precipitated all these illnesses. So I can vouch for the fact that international literature has pointed out the same provisions. So gambling behavior will lead to mental health conditions. And the most common are substance use disorder. Then you get nicotine dependence. You get mood disorders such as bipolar mood disorder and unipolar depression. And then you have anxiety and alcohol and substance use. And it's something that is there, it's affected so many young people.
So many young people are suffering. In fact, if you could look backwards, the suicide cases we have had amongst university students, we'll have a mental health consequence, which is mostly severe depression. And the severe depression is coming from losses of finances meant for tuition and other activities on gambling.
Yeah.
And that is why children are committing suicide. I mean, young people, very young people, relatively young, not something that should not be happening.
Yeah. Maybe just, can schools also get onto this fight? Maybe how can they raise awareness?
Schools can raise awareness by having youth clubs, that mental health youth clubs, which I've seen some individuals have already touted and they are working, where youth are educated on the dangers of gambling, and that recreational risk-taking does not necessarily have to be interrupt their normal lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the best way forward altogether in this, you know, because when you say you tell people not to gamble, I don't think that would really work, you know, but just what's the best way forward?
I think after perusing the subject for some time, I believe the best way forward will be the NACADA approach. The NACADA approach is where you have a body that is created by policy that is able to manage the gambling industry, because it's not going anywhere. It's been there before and it's going to continue. So that kind of body then will be able to facilitate the collection of a fund from the operators, and that fund can be used for prevention, education, and treatment purposes.
Yeah.
The money for treatment can be given to the Ministry of Health. The money for prevention can be given to NGOs that work on public education. You can have education of the police, education of the criminal justice system, education of teachers, education of healthcare providers, so that the condition can be addressed as early as possible, so that it is captured at the primary care level down there.
Yeah.
That will be the most feasible option.
Yeah.
That a fund from the providers of gambling products is collected by government following legislation. So we need legislation to push the process forward. That's where we are stuck now.
Yeah, that's what is lacking.
That is what
is
lacking.
amiss
Yes.
in all of this.
In all of this, the legislation is lacking.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Best way to maybe just ensure who exactly is supposed to come on board to ensure that, okay, now this can actually be put to work. Who can you call upon to just join this fight? You know, it's the legislation part, yes, and we know the ones involved. So just from your point of view, who exactly would you call upon, you know, seated right here?
Seated right here, I would call on Parliament.
Okay.
Parliament had the Gambling Bill 2019, which stalled in November 2019. It was reintroduced in 2020 as the National Assembly Bill number 38 of 2019. And it was supposed to address the socio-economic challenges that emerge from gambling. Parliament has the answer to our questions.
Okay. All right. If you would give us your final remarks on this topic.
It is okay not to be okay. Take initiative for your own health.
That's the word you have for the people out there.
That's what I have for the people out there.
Yeah, take initiative.
Take initiative.
It's all on you.
Yes.
And probably if, you know, before we even wind up, you know, for someone who's watching and they know that they are they are gamblers, you know, they gamble maybe every once in a while, probably they would love to quit or go slow on it. Are there habits that you would recommend? Are there like healthier habits that would replace the gambling behavior?
Yes, there are healthier habits. People can work out, people can read. But I think the way to funnel these people towards health would be by a structured system. And the only structured system I've seen around is that we have a retinue of responsible gambling providers. Different NGOs have been formed by different body corporates to assist them in a structured manner so that they can quit with assistance. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so very much for joining us on this conversation. And I hope that the right people who are supposed to come on board to help with this disorder, as you've mentioned, it's actually a disorder that most Kenyans have. According to statistics, we are at the top of that table, you know, when it comes to gambling and gambling addiction as well. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
All right, this is where we end this conversation. Thank you so very much for staying with us. On behalf of everyone who has made this show a success, we want to wish you a lovely day. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing. Goodbye.